Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a really interesting framework from a group called the RAMPAGE Outreach Center, or just the ROC for short. And they have this idea that pretty much flips the script on what most people think church is all about. You see, for them, it's not a place you go to, it's a movement you're a part of. So let's get right into it. Okay, so right out of the gate, they hit you with this huge idea. Attendance? That's secondary. Transformation? That's primary. What does that actually mean? Well, it means they're not really obsessed with how many people show up on a Sunday. The real scorecard for them is whether people's lives are genuinely fundamentally changing. And believe me, that one little shift in focus, it changes everything about how they operate.
So that leads us right into their first big concept, which they call moving beyond a Sunday service. And look, this isn't just some catchy phrase they put on a banner. It's really at the heart of their identity. It's way less about what you do for an hour once a week, and so much more about who you are every single day.
So, you might be asking, what's the end goal here? It's not just about getting a crowd together. Nope. The whole point is to raise up people who are always in motion, people who are redeemed, who are actively growing, who are living on mission out in the real world, and who are multiplying by helping others do the same. It's all designed to create this active, daily faith that actually transforms communities from the inside out.
Okay, so if that's the kind of person they're trying to develop, what does that person actually look like? Well, they have a blueprint for it. They call it the RAMPAGE disciple.
And yeah, that acronym is pretty intense, right? Rampage. It actually stands for Redeemed and Making Progress, Advancing God's Expectations. I mean, you can just feel the energy and the forward momentum in that name. This is definitely not about being a passive bystander. It's all about being an active participant. So let's break that down into simple terms. First, being redeemed through Christ, that's just the starting line. From there, a disciple is someone who is always making progress in their spiritual maturity. And then, and this part is absolutely key, they're out there advancing God's purposes in their normal day-to-day life. Not just in a special building, but everywhere. All right, so we've got the blueprint for the kind of person this whole movement is about. But what makes it all tick? What's the fuel? You could almost think of it like an operating system, or, as they call it, their spiritual DNA. And it's built on these 3 C's. These 3 core values, communion, community, and commission, are the absolute non-negotiables. They're woven into the life of every single person. Think of them as the essential building blocks. Let's take a look at each one. First up, you've got communion. This is all about that personal connection with God. It's the foundation. And the 2 most important words here are living and daily. This isn't something you just check off a list once a week. It's supposed to be this ongoing, active relationship, a daily walk built on scripture, prayer, and obedience. Then you have community, and this is huge for them. The core idea is that you just can't grow spiritually on your own. It's not a solo sport. It has to happen with other people, in real relationships. It's about being part of a spiritual family that gives you encouragement, holds you accountable, and is just there to do life with. And that brings us to the 3rd C, co-mission. If the first 2 are about looking up and looking in, this one is about looking out. It's the idea that every single person is an active participant. You're not just a spectator. Every believer is basically a representative for Jesus, meant to live out their faith in a natural way by serving the people right where they are. Okay, so we've got the big picture vision and the core values. But how does it all actually work? How do you put it into practice? Well, that's where the engine comes in. It's what drives the whole thing, and they call it a 4-stage movement loop. Now, the most important thing to get about this is that it's not a class you take and graduate from. It's a loop, a continuous, repeating cycle. It's meant to be a rhythm for your life. You follow Jesus, then you grow together, then you live on mission, then you multiply. And then you start the loop all over again, hopefully going a little deeper each time. The loop kicks off with follow Jesus. This is really that communion piece we just talked about, but in action. It's the simple, daily stuff. Walking with God, opening up the Bible, praying. This is the fuel that powers the rest of the loop. And each stage has a really simple question to ask yourself. For this one, it's super direct. Am I walking with God daily? It's a great little gut check. From there, the loop moves into grow together. This is where community becomes real. They believe that true transformation happens in relationships, and the main way they do this is in these tiny groups of 3 or 4 people they call triads. It's a safe place for honesty, prayer, and real accountability.
So, the question for this stage makes you think about who's in your corner. Who is helping me follow Jesus? I mean, that really drives home the point that you're not supposed to do this alone.
Next, the loop points outward with live on mission. This is where that co-mission DNA really comes to life. It's all about carrying your faith with you into your everyday world. Praying for the people you interact with and showing Christ's love in super practical ways. And a question here. It's really mobilizing. Who is God sending me to? Wow. That simple question can completely reframe how you see your job, your neighborhood, even your hobbies. They all become places with a purpose. And finally, the stage that makes the whole thing a self-sustaining movement, multiply. The idea here is that every single disciple eventually helps someone else learn to follow Jesus. You pass on what you've learned. Maybe that means mentoring one person, or maybe it means leading a new triad. And that last question really brings it all home with a sense of personal ownership. Who am I helping follow Jesus? See how that shifts the focus? It's not just about what you're getting out of it, but about what you're giving. So when you put it all together, the definition of a disciple, the spiritual DNA, this engine that drives it, what's the big takeaway? It all boils down to this one powerful idea, living as the church. And this quote from them just says it all, doesn't it? We do not just go to church. We live as the church. That's such a profound shift in thinking. It changes church from being a noun, a place you go, to a verb, an identity that you live out every single day. And so that really leaves us with a big question to think about for ourselves. What if church wasn't defined by the building you go to on a Sunday, but by how you actually live your life Monday through Saturday? It's a pretty challenging thought, and it's got some massive implications. Thanks so much for joining me for this one.